live. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Sheep Get Sheared podcast. Here we talk about people, politics, and popular culture. I'm your host, Austin Creed, and folks, I wanted to tell you something straight up, a little update on the show, if you will. First of all, I'm a little sick, so I apologize if that comes through on the air today. Second is, we actually got taken off YouTube for a little bit, and I had to fight to get us back on, but they were telling me I violated community guidelines. I didn't specify as to why or how, but it's all good because I got it fixed. So we're good on that front. I I was texting one of my buddies today who's on vacation, and he was like, "What? That's impossible. How did that happen?" Well, I'll, that's a separate story. We'll go into it probably tomorrow. I'll talk about censorship, but in the meantime, I want to talk about the military. Now, for those of you who watched the channel before, either you know me personally and you listen to the show, or you're getting to know me and you're binge watching the show. I don't blame you. It's really entertaining. But you'll know that I talk about the military quite a bit, and there's a reason for that, because I was in it for about a year and a half to 2 years before I got discharged for medical reasons. Now, I was in the Air Force, and I'm going to go into those stories today, but the main question I want to get across to the audience today is joining the military still worth it? What do you think? Would you join the military today? So remember, these topics and more are going to be here on the show today, so I want you to let your voice be heard. You can leave in the comment section, or you can hit me up on Twitter at Austin Creed and direct your opinions, thoughts, questions, inquiries, whatever, right over there. And I'd be more than happy to hear about it, discuss if you want to discuss it with me. But we're going to really talk about this. I want to break this down. Now, first I want to preface this, and I want to say that for any of you who are active duty listening to the show, thank you for serving. I really appreciate it. I know a lot of other people, they don't even realize what you sacrifice and you go through. I know to an extent. I've never been in combat. I'll put that out as a disclaimer right now. So for the combat troops out there, I know what you do, and it's not easy, and most people can only imagine. They think they watch a couple movies, and they think they know what it's like. They don't. I have a general idea, but even I don't know the full picture, so I want to thank everybody who's on active duty who's listening to the show today. Or for any combat vets who are listening to the show, I want to thank you. For any family members of active duty troops or guardsmen or reserve, I want to thank you, because you are often the forgotten about people in this equation, how it affects you. But I really want to dive into this topic today because it's something that most people don't discuss. It's something that you have a different opinion about when you've been on the inside and you know what's going on. So I really want to talk about what my experience was like, and again, this is my experience. If you love the military, if you loved everything about it, that's cool. That's fantastic, actually. I've never met anybody who can say that. So if you can say that, that's amazing. But for those of you who are younger, you want to join the military, you're thinking about it, well, welcome, because you're going to get a big dose today, and your recruiter is not going to tell you this. Your recruiter is going to tell you everything that you would see in a commercial. They're not going to tell you the nitty-gritty details. They're not going to tell you what basics like. They're not going to tell you what tech school is like. They're not going to tell you what your first base is like. They're not going to tell you any of these things, because that might scare you away. So they won't tell you that. I'll do it. I will do their job for them today. But I was in during COVID, if you can believe it, and that's a very selective timeline. I get it. One thing you'll quickly learn if you're wanting to join the military is you want the camaraderie. You want to feel like you're something more than you are right now. That's where I was. I was drifting, didn't know what I wanted to do. College was no good. Working normal civilian job was not feeling it. Didn't know what I wanted to do. I was kind of just drifting. I hadn't gone on couch surfing yet. Don't get me wrong. I ain't gone that far. But I was on the verge. I was on the edge. I had a falling out with my uncle. I was gonna live with him. Didn't work out. Came back to my parents' house, and I just felt I was down bad, quite frankly. I was down bad, I was depressed, I wasn't happy. But I knew there had to be something out there for me. I went to DC with my dad, and I saw when I was there all of the memorials to the war dead. And my tour guide, believe it or not, was actually a Marine. And he told me about what the Marine Corps was like. He told me the camaraderie, the mission, the standing up for other people, the bravery and the purpose that he found when he was in the Marine Corps. So I said, you know what? Okay, sounds interesting. I'm gonna look into it. And I said, I want to join the Marines. And he said, no. And I said, what? What do you mean? I want to join the Marines. He said, no, you don't want to do that. And I said, why? He said, well, you could do that, but let me ask you something. Would you rather live in a in a tent or an apartment? And I said, an apartment. He said, fantastic. You're joining the Air Force. And I said, Air Force? Why would I want to do that? I don't want to fly a plane. And he laughed at me. He said, that's like saying that every soldier in the army is out there in Afghanistan. No, that's not how that works. Now, keep in mind, this was before the withdrawal from Afghanistan. I was actually in when that happened. And let me tell you, oh my God, it was bad. Oh, it was so bad. I saw grown men who were my superiors. They were crying, breaking down. I never seen it. It was crazy. My commander literally had to call an all-call meeting, an assembly, to discuss it. He took us out of work, our normal duties, and said, you know what? I know that some of you have been personally impacted by Afghanistan. I know you've either been there or you've known people who've gone there. And if you need to take a second, you need to take a second. We need to get this out the way, and we need to deal with this. Yeah, he took an entire day out. We did that. So, trust me, I know more about that than most people who are out, who think they read Fox News or CNN and they know everything. You don't. But I digress. We're talking about my experience in the military, and let me tell you something. If you want purpose in your life, you want discipline in your life, you want to feel big, like you're part of something bigger than yourself, the military is fantastic for you. Fantastic. You will love it. But let me tell you something. If you are weak in spirit, if you're not strong, if you really want to test yourself, that's where I was, then you need to do it. But let me tell you something. I think everybody... America should have the Israeli approach of everybody serving for about the same time that I served. At the bare minimum. Why? Because it teaches you to love your country. I walk around in California. You wouldn't believe the things I hear about the flag, about the government. And get it, I'm no fan of the government. If you listen to my show, I'm not a fan of the government, but I respect the offices. Heck, I don't like Joe Biden. I think he's a fraud, but I respect the presidency. I respect the commander-in-chief. I was in during the transfer of power from Trump to Biden, and I remember we were in a mock deployed environment, Beast, for those of you who've been in. I was in Beast. So a week, where part of basic training for an entire week, you would be taken out of the normal barracks, the concrete jungle, and you'd be taken into this mock deployed environment with just dust and potential scorpions, because we were in Texas. And they'd wake you up every morning with this, and you had to eat MREs, which for those of you who don't speak military jargon, an MRE is a meal ready to eat. It's like a box. It's like a boxed meal that you tear off the top of it, and it has like some random stuff in it. But not good. Not good for your digestive tract, man. But I digress. When I was in that deployed environment, I remember we were waiting to get into the chow hall. The one meal during the day we actually got to eat, regular people food, and the MTIs, the military training instructors, were all talking about how, because we didn't know what the election results were. We had no access to the internet, no smartphone, nothing. We were off the grid. We had no idea what was going on. He announced the election because I was in basic training during January 6th. I had no idea it had happened until my military training instructor sat us down and he told us about it. I had no access to the internet, nothing. I was off the grid in the middle of basic training when that went down. So I got to hear about it from a very interesting perspective from my technical sergeant. That was a very interesting experience, but nonetheless, we were in during the transfer of power. And in the transfer of power, people were like, "Oh, Joe Biden won? What? He won?" And everybody was like in the line in front of me and around me and everywhere else was like, "Did you vote for him? No. Did you vote for him? No. Did you vote for him? No, I didn't vote for him. Did you vote for him? No, I didn't vote for him." And everybody in the line was just like, "Trump, Trump, 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 Trump." And it was so funny. I loved it. It was hilarious because you would think, wait a minute. Why were they celebrating Trump? I thought Trump was nasty and horrible. I'll let you do the math on that. But my friends, a reason I bring up this stuff is that's what my military experience was. A series of stories that then became a chapter of my life. And for those of you who want to spend an entire career in the military, then it might be multiple chapters of your life. You might be married, like a lot of people I've known. They got married. Maybe they got divorced. Maybe they started having kids. You get to have multiple stages of your life happen if you're in for a long period of time. I was not, but I know people who were. And it's very interesting to see how it changes you, because basic training, for those of you who have no idea, it is meant to break you down and rebuild you. It's meant to take you as a civilian, break down your individuality, and make you into somebody new. A team player who cares about his country, cares about his comrades, and puts others in the mission before his or herself. And if you want that mentality in your life and you don't know how to push yourself to get there, the military is great for you. Because if you think that it's just about you your entire life, there's a saying I like to share with you. The saying goes as follows: if I'm not for myself, who will be? But if I am only for myself, then who am I? I want you to ponder on that. Because we're told in society that everything is evolved around you. Everybody's happy and except for you. And the only way to be happy is to buy this, consume that, or be like this person. But I'm here to tell you that's totally false. Totally false. Totally false and wrong. Pardon if you can hear the dog barking. My neighbor's dog is barking, so hopefully you don't hear that. But if you want to join the military, it will not be the military of your father or your grandfather. I'll tell you that. I will let you know that right now up front. If you think it's going to be the same military as your father and your grandfather, you're mistaken. Military is very different. A lot more LGBTQ friendly, which is great if you are LGBTQ, but I'll tell you, it's for certain people who are more southern or they're more traditional, they're not going to like that. They're not going to. But at the end of the day, it's good to get to know how to work with people from all backgrounds, all walks of life. It's a skill. And it's a skill that you might not learn if you're from certain areas. For example, one of my supervisors, who was a staff sergeant while I was an airman first class, he told me that where he was from, I think he said he was from, I think it was Ohio? It was Ohio, I think. And he told me he had never seen or met a black person. He'd only seen them on TV. He had never met a black person until he joined the military. And I was flabbergasted by that. I grew up in California. I grew up playing basketball, going to high school, and everything with everybody from all different backgrounds, racial backgrounds, ethnic backgrounds, everything. So it was shocking to me to hear that someone had been so different than me that it was shocking. But it was a great learning experience. And that's what the military really is. It's a learning experience. Now, you need to know, you're not going to like this learning experience every step of the way. You are not going to like it. But that's the whole point. You need to learn to live outside your comfort zone, because that is how you will succeed. That is how you will make money. That is how you will really succeed in life. If you want to live in your comfort zone, you're going to be nobody. You will be about a shadow of the self that you could have been if you had stepped outside your comfort zone. So if you want to join the military, whether it's because you feel patriotic, you feel the patriotic necessity, or whether it's you have nothing else to do, you're poor, you feel like you have no other options, or it's because you've always wanted to do it like I did when I was a kid, who then did it eventually, you'll learn it's not like the movies. It's not what you expect it to be, but it's exactly what you need. Whether it's you had tremendous mental health issues in the military, whether it's you worked on nuclear weapons like I did, or whether it's you serve on the front lines, you sleep on a field like the Army guys do and the Marines, or whether you're on a ship and you're a cook, or whether it's you work on the Warthogs, A-10s, whatever it is you do. Maybe your ammo. I always hear them chant when we walk to tech school. But whether it's your ammo, whatever it is that you do, you need to understand that it is about the mission. The mission always comes first. And if that is something that you want as a mentality in your life, that you watch enough self-help videos on here on YouTube, or you listen to podcasts and you think that, oh, I'll eventually learn it. If you want a fire sale of knowledge, go to the military. You want to learn how to really be a part of something new, join the military. If you want to push yourself, you want to be the best American that you can be, join the military. You want to get your education really paid for, join the military. If you want to have the adventure of a lifetime, join the military. But be warned, it will not be about you when you are in. It is about the mission. You need to look out for number one, but you need to realize that your number one priority should be yourself, but the mission always comes first. Because the mission is more important and bigger than you, and will be around long after you're gone. My friends, I could talk about this for hours, and I'll talk about it again another time. But I wanted to give you a little bit of background as to who you're listening to, and who you're talking, and who's talking to you. I've lived this. Look, this is my sweatshirt. I got this in basic training. That's where I got this from. Look, I'm going to turn around for a second. I have all the names of the guys I was with on the back of my sweatshirt. I still remember their faces. I still have vivid memories about them. You bond very quickly to people when you're in basic, when you're in training, when you're outside and you're at your first base. That was a trip, my first base. It was a great experience. You learn a lot when you go to a new place with new people, and you gotta learn how to adapt and how to thrive. If you can't do that, you ain't been moving around enough. You need to be able to do that. That's a life skill. Anyways, my friends, should you join the military? Is it worth it? I would say yes. Yes, it absolutely is. Now, it may not be what you want, but it's going to be what you need. And if you're not going to join the military just because of some LGBTQ stuff, wrong reason, my friends. It's the wrong reason. That's totally false. Both of my lieutenants were lesbians, by the way. A couple of my squad mates were also gay. I didn't care about it. Didn't matter to me. My lieutenants would bring their wives with them. That didn't matter to me. Do not think... Now, the leadership at the top of the military, they're a different story. They are not going to be your everyday experience. Okay? Are you going to follow the rules? Yes. You're going to have to follow the regulations? Yes. But if you really want to be a part of something bigger than yourself, and you want to really be a patriotic American, and you want to provide a better future for yourself in the long run, and by sacrificing, military is a great option for you. You learn a lot about the power structure, a lot about how the government works, which is why I know frankly too much about how the government works. And I can't go into extensive detail about it because I don't want to go to jail. I signed NDA, I signed all kinds of stuff. So, but I wanted to do this show today because a lot of people asked me about my military past, asked me about the Ukraine stuff. I know a lot. I was in it When war was first declared, I was still in, if you can believe it. We were put on alert and everything because we didn't know if the president was going to push the button. But that's a story for another time. Anyways, my friends, if you have any comments, questions, concerns, criticisms, whatever, find me on Twitter at Austin Creed, or go to the comment section of this video. I'm more than happy to answer any questions if you have any questions about the military. If I can answer it, I will. If not, I'll point you in the right direction. Anyways, my friends, God bless you. God bless your family. God bless America. We're out of here. Peace.